My friends, as we begin this message today, I want to invite you to lean in, because what you're about to hear has the power to reshape everything about the way you move, think, and live. We spend our lives searching for complicated strategies, complex formulas, and endless self-help ideas, yet sometimes the strongest breakthroughs come from the simplest truths. Today, I want to share with you the only 3 rules you need, 3 rules that can build your future, restore your strength, and align your life with purpose. Before I unfold these rules, let me ask you a question. How much of your life right now feels scattered? How much of your energy is being pulled in directions you never intended to go? If something deep inside you feels stretched thin, if you feel like you're running but not arriving, then today's message is exactly the rescue your heart has been waiting for. Let's begin with rule number 1, the rule of focused living. You were never meant to chase everything. You were designed to concentrate your strength like a beam of light that cuts through darkness. Life becomes powerful when you stop trying to be everywhere and start choosing where you belong. Focus is not about doing less, it's about doing what matters. The moment you choose clarity is the moment you reclaim your direction. And hear me, no one accidentally becomes successful, peaceful, or fulfilled. You must decide the direction before you take the first step. Rule number 2, the rule of inner alignment. Your outer world will always reflect your inner world. If your heart is restless, your decisions will be unstable. If your spirit is discouraged, your progress will feel heavy. But when you anchor your thoughts, values, and identity, everything around you begins to shift. Alignment is not perfection. It's consistency between who you are and what you pursue. When your heart and your path finally agree, you stop fighting battles that were never yours and start moving with a strength that cannot be shaken. Rule number 3, the rule of consistent, purposeful action. Dreams do not die because they are impossible. Dreams die because they are abandoned. So many people wait for motivation, inspiration, or perfect moments. But life rewards movement, not hesitation. Every small step you take in the right direction becomes a seed for a future harvest. Discipline is not a burden. It is the bridge between where you stand and where you are meant to be. And if you refuse to quit, you make it impossible to lose. But before we continue, let me give you a reason to stay with me until the very end of this message. These rules are powerful on their own, but they become unstoppable when you put them together. The real transformation happens when focus aligns with the heart, and the heart fuels consistent action. That is where breakthroughs lie. That is where peace settles. That is where your future begins to rise. My friends, these are not just ideas, they are lifelines. And if you embrace them, if you apply them, if you let them guide you, you will step into a life marked by direction, stability, and unstoppable purpose. Keep listening, because the change you've been praying for may begin today. As I step into this first rule, I want you to hear me with your heart just as much as with your ears, because this is where so many lives rise or collapse. When I talk about focused living, I'm not talking about a motivational slogan or a productivity trick. I'm talking about the very engine that determines whether your life moves forward with strength or drifts quietly into frustration. And I want you to imagine, just for a moment, how powerful your life would become if everything inside you, your energy, your thoughts, your decisions, your effort, stopped scattering in 100 directions and started moving like a single, unstoppable current. Focus is not merely choosing what to do, it is courageously deciding what not to do. And many people never step into their purpose because they are endlessly distracted by things that were never assigned to them. We chase noise, we chase approval. We chase opportunities that look shiny but carry no substance. And while we are running after everything, the one thing we are truly meant to pursue stands waiting, untouched, unclaimed, unrealized. I want you to hear this. Confusion is expensive. It drains energy faster than failure ever will. When your attention is divided, your strength weakens. When your priorities are unclear, Your choices become reactive instead of intentional. And when you are busy without direction, you end the day exhausted yet unfulfilled. That's why this rule matters so deeply, because a scattered life can never produce a powerful outcome. There comes a moment when you must step back and ask yourself, what is pulling me away from who I am supposed to become? You cannot conquer your future while entertaining every distraction from your past. You cannot walk in clarity while carrying the weight of unnecessary commitments. And you certainly cannot reach your destination while constantly wandering off the path for things that do not belong to you. Focused living demands that you silence the noise, not because everything else is bad, but because not everything else is meant for you. It demands that you choose your direction before your direction chooses you. And it demands that you stop trying to be everywhere and finally give yourself permission to be fully present where your purpose truly lies. Let me speak plainly. The moment you become focused, everything begins to change. Your decisions sharpen, your confidence strengthens, your energy returns, and suddenly the things that once overwhelmed you begin to lose their power. That's because focus is not just about effort, it's about alignment. When your mind, your actions, and your purpose point in the same direction, you become a force that distraction cannot weaken and discouragement cannot stop. And don't think for a moment that you need perfect clarity before you begin. Focus grows as you walk. It sharpens with each step you take toward what matters and each step you refuse to take toward what doesn't. Even the smallest decision made with clarity becomes stronger than the largest action taken in confusion. So let me challenge you right here, right now. Release what pulls you away. Choose what draws you forward. Make your life a straight line, not a tangled web. Because when your focus becomes clear, your future stops being a question and starts becoming a direction. When I talk about inner alignment, I'm talking about something far deeper than emotion, deeper than personality, and deeper than the face you show the world. I'm talking about the place where your motives, your beliefs, your identity, and your decisions meet the inner chamber of your life. And if that chamber is in conflict, if what you say, what you believe, and what you pursue are pulling in opposite directions, then no matter how hard you push on the outside, something will always feel off. Something will always feel heavy. Something will always feel unfinished. Let me speak this clearly. Your life will never rise higher than the condition of your inner world. You can polish your performance. You can improve your skills. You can chase accomplishments. But if your heart is unsettled, if your convictions are shaky, if your values are compromised, then your foundation will crack every time pressure arrives. And pressure always arrives. People often ask, why does it feel like I take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back? The answer is rarely a lack of effort. It is usually a lack of alignment. When your goals point one way, but your beliefs pull another. When your desires push forward, but your habits drag backward. When your schedule is full, but your spirit is empty. Your life ends up fighting itself. You become your own resistance. You become your own obstacle. Alignment is the opposite of that disorder. Alignment is when your heart and your path finally agree. When your values support your vision instead of sabotaging it. When your decisions match the person you claim to be, not the person you used to be. Alignment brings a unity inside you that makes growth feel natural instead of exhausting. But let me warn you, alignment is not accidental. It requires honesty. It requires courage to confront the places inside you that have been neglected, ignored, or denied. It requires a willingness to ask the difficult questions. Why am I pursuing this? Who am I trying to impress? Is this desire even mine? Because sometimes the greatest misalignment in life comes from chasing expectations that were never yours to carry. And when you begin correcting that inner world, everything outside starts responding. Decisions become cleaner. Priorities become sharper. Relationships become healthier because you're no longer operating from insecurity or confusion. And suddenly you find yourself walking with a strength you didn't even know you had because your heart isn't pulling one way while your actions pull another. Alignment also brings peace. Not the quietness of circumstances, but the quietness of spirit. That deep, steady calm that tells you, I am where I'm supposed to be. I am becoming who I was created to be. That kind of peace can't be borrowed, faked, or manufactured. It flows from the inside out. And maybe that's the reason you're listening right now, because something inside you knows there's a gap between who you truly are and the life you're currently living. And that tension is not your enemy, it's your invitation. It's a signal calling you to return to the center, to recalibrate your heart, to bring your thoughts, desires, values, and direction back into alignment so your life can finally move forward without friction. Because when your inner world becomes whole, your outer world becomes powerful. And that power you feel beginning to rise within you leads us directly into the next rule, because inner alignment means very little if it never translates into movement. You can have clarity in your heart, strength in your convictions, and purpose in your spirit, but if your feet never take a step, your future will remain only a possibility instead of a reality. That's why the next truth is so vital. Nothing transforms your life faster than consistent, purposeful action. Now listen closely, because this is where many people stumble. They believe breakthroughs come from big moments, grand opportunities, sudden inspiration, dramatic change. But real transformation is rarely born in moments of excitement. It grows in the simple discipline of doing what matters, even when it feels small, even when it feels slow, even when no one is watching. Consistency is often quiet, but its results are unmistakable. And I want you to remember this: your life today is a reflection of the actions you repeated yesterday. And your life tomorrow will be shaped by the actions you choose today. It's not the one-time decision that defines you, it's the repeated decision, the daily decision, the disciplined decision, the decision you make when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when you'd rather quit, but something inside insists you keep going because you know the path you're walking has purpose. You see, alignment gives you the direction, but consistency moves you in that direction. Alignment tells you who you are, but consistency proves who you are becoming. And so many people live frustrated, not because they lack potential, but because they lack continuation. They start with passion, but they don't stay with purpose. They begin with fire, but they don't endure with faithfulness. And without consistency, even the strongest intentions lose their power. I want to speak to you directly here. Discipline is not punishment, it is preparation. Every small step you take toward your purpose is building something inside you: endurance, confidence, stability, conviction. And sometimes the action itself is not even the main victory. The real victory is who you become by choosing to act. But don't misunderstand, purposeful action is not frantic activity. It is not doing everything. It is doing the right things repeatedly. It is choosing the actions that align with your values, strengthen your character, and move you forward, even if that forward motion feels slow. Progress is still progress, even when it's not dramatic. And there will be days, listen, there will be days when consistency feels thankless, days when the results don't show, days when the effort feels invisible. But the discipline you choose on those days becomes the foundation for the victories that will appear on future days. Every great achievement has been carried by thousands of unseen steps, taken faithfully, taken quietly, taken consistently. This is why the rule of consistent, purposeful action is unshakable. Because when your heart is aligned and your focus is clear, your steps, no matter how small, carry extraordinary power. You are no longer wandering, you are advancing. You are no longer reacting, you are building. You are no longer hoping for change. You are participating in it with every choice you make, every step you take, every day you decide not to give up. And as you keep taking those steps, steady, faithful, intentional, there is a truth you eventually discover: progress must be protected. Because the moment you start building something meaningful, something will try to pull it apart. And that leads us to the next rule, woven seamlessly from the journey we've already walked together: you must guard what matters. The strength you've been forming through focus, alignment, and consistency cannot survive if you leave it exposed to every distraction, every demand, every voice that tries to drain what you've been building. Progress is precious, and anything precious must be protected. You don't leave a seed unguarded when you've waited seasons for it to grow. You don't leave a fire unattended when you've fought to keep it burning. And in the same way, you cannot leave your purpose undefended and expect it to flourish. You must understand something. When you begin to rise, resistance often rises with you. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're finally doing something right. The distractions you once ignored suddenly become louder. The habits you thought were gone try to return. People who never noticed you begin to question you. Old fears, old patterns, old voices attempt to pull you back into who you used to be. And if you are not guarding your values, your time, your identity, you will find yourself slipping into battles you no longer need to fight. Guarding what matters is not selfish, it's wise. It means recognizing that not everyone deserves access to your energy. Not every opportunity deserves a yes. Not every conflict deserves your involvement. Some things are simply too costly to engage with because they pull you away from the life you are intentionally building. And when you've fought for clarity, when you've invested in discipline, when you've aligned your heart with your purpose, you begin to realize how dangerous it is to let unguarded moments steal what took you so long to develop. There is a quiet strength that comes from boundaries, healthy, intentional boundaries, the kind that protect your peace, your direction, your emotional stability, the kind that shield your progress from the people who misunderstand it, the pressures that try to dismantle it, and the temptations that attempt to weaken it. And make no mistake, boundaries are not walls to keep the world out. They are gates that decide what has permission to come in. Guarding what matters also means protecting your inner voice, the one that speaks truth, the one that guides your steps, the one that reminds you who you are becoming. If you don't guard that voice, the noise of the world will drown it out. You'll start believing opinions instead of convictions, criticism instead of calling, fear instead of direction. And slowly, without noticing, you'll drift away from the purpose you were once walking towards so confidently. You must also guard your time. Time is one of the few things in life you cannot recover once it's gone. Every minute you spend should reflect your priorities, not your pressures. Every day you live should bring you closer to your purpose, not deeper into someone else's expectations. When you guard your time, you reclaim authority over your life. You choose what matters. You protect the progress you've made. You see, everything we've talked about, focus, alignment, consistency, depends on this rule. Because without protection, purpose becomes vulnerable. Without boundaries, progress becomes fragile. And without guarding what matters, even the strongest life can slowly unravel, not from a single blow, but from 1,000 small distractions that were never confronted. So you guard your peace, you guard your direction, you guard your values, you guard your purpose, because the life you're building is worth defending. And when you stand guard over what truly matters, when you shield your purpose, your peace, your identity, and your direction, something remarkable begins to happen inside you. A new strength rises, one that doesn't come from strategy or discipline alone, but from something deeper, something far more enduring. And that brings us into the final rule, flowing naturally from everything we've built together, the rule of unwavering hope. Because even with focus, even with alignment, even with consistency and boundaries, there will still come moments when life shakes you. Moments when the road feels longer than you expected, when progress slows, when prayers feel unanswered, when the dream seems distant, and right there, in those moments that feel heavy and unclear, you discover the one force that carries you further than talent, further than discipline, further than effort: hope. Hope is not a feeling, it is an anchor. It holds you steady when the winds of disappointment blow against your progress. It keeps your spirit grounded when your circumstances try to pull you off course. It reminds you of your direction when the path is hidden. And hear me, if you do not guard your hope, everything else you've built becomes vulnerable. Because a discouraged heart cannot sustain a focused life. A hopeless mind cannot maintain alignment. A weary spirit cannot remain consistent. Hope is the power that keeps your momentum alive. There will be days when you don't feel strong. Days when everything around you seems to contradict the progress you believe you're making. Days when you question whether the sacrifices are worth it. And in those moments, hope steps in as a whisper stronger than the noise of doubt. Keep going. This season will not break you. There is more ahead than what you see right now. Unwavering hope is not blind optimism. It is the confidence that the story is bigger than the struggle. It is the belief that what feels like delay is often development. It is the assurance that the same challenges trying to discourage you are the ones shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Hope lets you rise after failure. Hope lets you start again after setback. Hope lets you stand firm when fear tries to pull you down. And most importantly, hope keeps you tethered to your purpose when nothing around you seems to affirm it. But you must protect your hope the same way you protect your progress. Guard it from the voices that aim to shrink your vision. Guard it from the environments that drain your energy. Guard it from the negativity that tries to convince you your future is limited. Because hope, when nurtured, becomes strength, and when strength grows, transformation follows. And there's something powerful that happens when hope becomes unwavering. It spreads. It touches the people around you. It shifts atmospheres. It breathes life into places where discouragement once lived. Hope makes you a light in rooms where others have grown weary. It gives you a presence that strengthens not only yourself, but everyone connected to you. So as you keep walking, as you keep building, as you keep guarding and growing, let hope rise in you like a steady flame that refuses to be extinguished. For when hope becomes unwavering, your life moves with a courage that cannot be shaken, no matter what stands in your way.